Turks, Cenk Uygur and Kasparian with you guys. I got a funny voice to start the show. All right. So now, normally I'm a happy-go-lucky in my personal life. That's the kind of guy I am. Anna, you know I'm an optimist.
You are.
You know I'm generally a happy guy.
Yes.
And then things in the news get me angry. Today might be the reverse. I'm kind of in a fired-up mood already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm locked and loaded.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know what can happen on today's show. So buckle up. And of course, I'm upset about the first story. That's not surprising at all. I'm actually super pissed about two other things, including one story in the second hour where the wrong guy got shot. But I'm actually kind of furious at who the right guy was. So we'll explain in the second hour. But Anna, no, actually before that, hold on. I do have important and fun announcements for you guys, actually, that are positive. Okay. So tomorrow at 2:40ish, I know that it's kind of it depends on when he's going to arrive. Okay, so it's giving you a little bit of a loose time. Live in the studio, Vice President Al Gore. I know for a second you thought Vice President Mike Pence. That would have been amazing as well. But yes, Al Gore in the studio tomorrow, and he'll also be at the top of the show too. So tune in a little bit early tomorrow, live for everybody. And also, there's just a ton of announcements. I don't know, I think I can get all of them in. Anyway, there's a press conference that I told you about a couple of days ago in Washington that the Just Democrats are putting together for Medicare for All. So if you're anywhere near Washington, that's tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern. Go check that out. Congressman John Conyers, Congressman Ro Khanna are going to be there. And so go to justdemocrats.com. And then Anna is debating Ann Coulter on Saturday at Politicon. Hassan is debating Michael Kirk. That's a couple of young guys, one on the conservative side, and obviously Haas on the more progressive side. And on Sunday, I'll be debating Ben Shapiro on Politicon. I also actually have a super interesting panel about the future of the Democratic Party, mixed with some establishment folks, and I think there might be one other progressive on the panel. So that ought to be a lot of fireworks. I want to see our guys out there. Politicon.com/TYT. Politicon.com/TYT to get tickets to see it in Pasadena this weekend. Okay, lots of fun announcements. Now let's do the news.
All right. Donald Trump has declared that transgender individuals will not be allowed to join the military. He advised everyone about this through Twitter, which is his favorite form of communicating with the American people. And it was a series of tweets. Let me go ahead and read them to you. He said, after consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised that the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military. Our military must be focused on decisive and overwhelming victory and cannot be burdened with the tremendous medical costs and disruption that transgender in the military would entail. Thank you. Okay, so there is no tremendous medical cost. In fact, there have been studies that looked into this. One of those studies was released in May of 2016 by the RAND Corporation. In fact, the Pentagon commissioned that study, and what they found, and I think this is very relevant to the discussion, was that letting transgender people serve openly would have, quote, a minimal impact on readiness and healthcare costs, largely because there are so few in the military. There are 1.3 million members of the military, and the transgender component of the military is about 1,300 to 6,000 individuals, okay? So it's hard to have exact numbers because it's based on self-reporting and things like that. But it would not be a huge cost burden at all I think this is just a way to distract from all of the negative press he's been getting in regard to Russia and that investigation.
Of course! Yeah, okay.
Such a clown.
Let me just dive a little further into the facts. So, of the people who would need any kind of healthcare related expenses, whether it's hormone treatment or otherwise, in the military in any given year, it would range from a whopping 25 people to all the way up to 140 people in a force of, as Anna pointed out, 1.3 million people. The RAND study was a little bit more specific, and the folks at RAND Corporation ain't nobody's liberals, okay? So the Pentagon says, RAND, give us a study on this. They go crunch the numbers. They're like, okay, this is the best we can come up with. And they said that the amount that would go to dealing with transgender healthcare costs would be, quote, an exceedingly small proportion of total health expense.
I mean, you want to have a conversation about wasting money in the military, right? We just did a story this week about how the Pentagon wasted $28 million on providing uniforms to Afghan soldiers that were only meant to be used in a forest setting. They don't fight in the forest, they fight in the desert. So they were completely useless uniforms. And there's never any conversation about that $28 million that was just wasted. And by the way, I know that's a drop in the bucket considering how much money we funnel to the Defense Department. But it's just one example of how much waste there is in the military. And you have the audacity to talk about, the couple thousand transgender people that we have who are risking their lives to fight for this country. We can't take care of them.
Right,
Too expensive.
So let me go more into that. So only 2% of Afghanistan is forced. So that was a preposterous decision. And since 2007, it's actually cost us $71 million, totally thrown in the garbage, okay? But way less than that for transgender people. We can't have it. You know, look at what Anna just told you. Think about it. Just let it sink in for a second. They are ready to die for this country. They signed up. They can have their arms and legs blown off in places like Iraq, Afghanistan, and that has already happened to a lot of folks that serve the military. There's members of Navy SEAL 6 who are transgender. You want to go tell them, what, they're not patriotic enough? You don't want them in the armed forces? But Donald Trump, you never signed up, and you had every chance in the world. Vietnam was happening when you were of age. You got 5 deferments, and now you tell trans people they can't serve. They can't risk their lives for their country. He pretended after he got out of school that he had bone spurs in his foot. It was such a bad lie that when asked during campaigning, hey, which foot was it in? He's like, I don't remember. Oh, I see it was a devastating injury that kept you out of the war. But now to score cheap political tricks, you're going to go after patriotic Americans who are looking to defend all of our freedoms. And they sign up to defend our freedoms, and you strip their freedoms away.
Right.
And look, this issue is more than just trans people. And the effect that it has on the LGBT community is enormously important. I don't want to minimize it. But it's about all of us. It's about saying, no, we don't believe freedom applies to everybody. We don't believe that we should be equal. So there is some people in this country who say there's certain people, used to be based on race, still is for some folks. Now we're switching it. We're switching it to sexual identity. We're switching it to religion. So if you're in a certain religion or you're sexual, you're not equal. You're not equal. You have lesser rights than us. You're less American than us. No, I think they're way more American than you because they actually understand the principles of this country. So Trump and the people who applaud this decision are grotesque, and they have no idea what it means to be an American.
So just to give you a little more context, during the Obama administration, the don't ask, don't tell policy was firmly in place until Obama did something about it. And so that would allow members of the LGBT community, not just trans individuals, but anyone in that community to join the military. They wouldn't have to worry about being discriminated against. The component of Obama's directive would allow transgender military members to start joining without any fear of discrimination July 1st. James Mattis gets involved, and of course this is now during the Trump administration, and decides to postpone that July 1st decision, right? What was supposed to go into effect July 1st. And then all of a sudden we get these tweets from Trump. And so I just find it all super interesting, considering the fact that when Trump was running, he claimed that he was very pro-LGBT. He was so much more pro-LGBT than Hillary Clinton. If you don't believe me, hear it from him. Here's what he had to say about that.
I refuse to allow America to become a place where gay people, Christian people, Jewish people are targets of persecution and intimidation by radical Islamic preachers of hate and violence. Remember this, radical Islam is anti-woman, anti-gay, and anti-American. If we want to protect the quality of life for all Americans, women and children, gay and straight, Jews and Christians, and all people, then we need to tell the truth about radical Islam, and we need to do it now. It's a strike at the heart and soul of who we are as a nation. It's an assault on the ability of free people to live their lives, love who they want, and express their identity. It's an attack on the right of every single American to live in peace and safety in their own country. Hillary Clinton can never claim to be a friend of the gay community as long as she continues to support immigration policies that bring Islamic extremists to our country and who suppress women, gays, and anyone else who doesn't share their views or value. And by the way, the LGBT community is just, what's happened to them is just so sad, and to be thinking about where their policies are currently with this administration is a disgrace to that community, I will tell you right now. She can't have it both ways. She can't claim to be supportive of these communities while trying to increase the number of people coming in who want to oppress these same communities. Ask yourself, who is really the friend of women and the LB and LGBT community? Donald Trump with actions or Hillary Clinton with her words? I will tell you who the better friend is, and someday I believe that will be proven out bigly.
I mean, who needs radical Islamic, extremists when you have someone like Donald Trump, who does exactly what he just criticized radical Islamic extremists for doing, right? Violating the rights of women, violating the rights of the LBGT community, which he can't even get.
It's in a prompter. He's reading from a prompter.
Yeah.
He still can't get it right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He's like, you will find out who is a true friend of the BLT community, okay?
That's
big
like
league.
a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah. So, well, we did find out. We found out today. So what he was trying to do there, he's pretending to be on LGBT community's side so that he can enlist them on hating Muslim people. So he's like, okay, so let's hate these guys one at a time. And then you think he's not going to turn on you later? Well, he just did. And of course, great credit to all the leaders in that community. They didn't believe him for a second. And they didn't buy it back then. Back then, Chad Griffin, president of the Human Rights Campaign, said, LGBTQ people, we are Muslims, we are women, we are Latinos, we are as diverse as the fabric of this nation, and any attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. So God bless his heart for saying the right thing back then, and obviously LGBT community, along with all of us, are now outraged at the latest actions of Donald Trump to discriminate against that community, as he was looking forward to discriminating against Muslims earlier in that statement. And by the way, I mean, come on, even if you're a Donald Trump supporter, you know he's a pathological liar. Did you really believe him there when he said he was going to be a bigger friend to the gay community than Hillary Clinton and the Democrats? You didn't believe him. You knew he was lying through his teeth because you're celebrating some of his actions today, right?
Right, and they didn't even care that he was lying because that's something that the right wing wants, right? They like to differentiate themselves from other fundamentalists, but how are you different if you're fighting tooth and nail to take away reproductive rights for women? You're fighting tooth and nail to do away with the protesting rights of Americans that disagree with you. You're fighting tooth and nail to do away with any type of progress that we've had for the LGBT community. I mean, they think that they're so much better and they're so much more, self-righteous. It's all BS, and it's so incredibly disheartening and sad to see that he will go to this extreme just to distract everyone from the fact that he's a clown, that he's facing a serious investigation, and he just wants people to focus on something completely different. Here's a nice shiny little object that you guys can focus on so we don't talk about other issues.
The last two things. Caitlyn Jenner, are you happy now? Because she's a proud Republican, and so thought Trump was going to do the right thing for trans people. How's that working out for you, idiot? I know you like your tax cuts and you're greedy, and so you thought, oh, my money's more important than everything else. Well, now he's come for you. Maybe you should have stood up when he was coming for everybody else too.
Caitlyn Jenner doesn't really care. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't want to serve in the military. Caitlyn Jenner cares about the tax cuts way more. She comes from a significantly privileged position, and, whatever statement she releases about this today is completely, in my opinion, is complete nonsense, because she doesn't genuinely care. If you genuinely cared, you would have seen the tea leaves. You would have spoken out against him from the very beginning, and she just refused to do that.
And finally, I have a suggestion that might be able to solve this problem, because, this means that already 1,300 to 6,600 trans members of the military might have issues. So certainly anyone new signing up will not be allowed to, right? So Republican politicians who are in favor of that proposal, we need to make up those numbers. So you won't let them serve our country. You won't let them fight for our freedom. So stand a post, motherfucker. Grab a rifle, but first, don't do that right away, because I know you're Republicans, God knows who you'll shoot. Okay, go sign up for the military, stand a fucking post, then you can go and criticize trans people and say, no, that's okay, I was willing to die instead of them. Okay? Until you do that, shut the fuck up about other people who are trying to defend us.
All right. After Donald Trump released a series of tweets indicating that transgender individuals would not be allowed to join the military in any capacity, surprisingly, a number of Republican lawmakers spoke out against him. Let me give you a few examples. First, we had let's go to John McCain. So first senator to speak out against Donald Trump was Senator John McCain. Let's go to graphic 6. Any American who meets current medical and readiness standards should be allowed to continue serving. There's no reason to force service members who are able to fight, train, and deploy to leave the military regardless of their gender identity. Orrin Hatch also released a statement in regard to Trump's new policy, and he did criticize it. He says, I don't think we should be discriminating against anyone. Transgender people are people and deserve the best we can do for them. I look forward to getting much more information and clarity from our military leaders about the policy the president tweeted today. Now, let me be clear about something. Donald Trump tweeted what he did without even advising or communicating with the Pentagon. When the Pentagon was asked, what does this mean? How are you going to move forward? How are you guys going to move forward? Officials essentially said, you need to ask the White House. However, they later released a statement saying, we will continue to work closely with the White House to address the new guidance provided by the Commander-in-Chief on transgender individuals serving in the military.
What that means is the new guidance provided by the Commander-in-Chief in a tweet this morning that we did not hear about at all.
Right.
That's why we don't have a plan in place. See, this orange buffoon doesn't know how the government works at all. He doesn't know what it means to be Commander-in-Chief, so he's like, I don't know, why don't I just change the policy with a tweet? And then the Pentagon's like, oh, for Christ's sake, now we have to try to figure out what in the hell he meant by that tweet. Then we got to go figure it out and then implement policy. No, you knucklehead. Normal, intelligent human beings who have held this post before, whether they're right-wingers or left-wingers, actually do things through a process instead of, I got up this morning and I was so upset about Russia and my investigations, they're going to find me, so I tweeted to get people distracted on this issue, and to get my loathsome base who hates people to go and rush over to hate trans people and hence come to my defense. Well, funny enough, even with the Republican senators, it didn't work. And so, now look, they all haven't weighed in on this yet, but look, in the past, these senators have not been in favor of LGBT rights. They are now. I'm a little conflicted on it, because on the one hand, there are now wealthy LGBT members of the nation who are also donating to the Republican Party. Mm-hmm. So Peter Thiel gave a lot of money to the Republicans, and he happens to be a gay libertarian. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, the gay position on the Republican position on gay rights softening a little bit. On the other hand, I'll take it. Great, you're doing the right thing.
You can buy a politician to do and say anything.
But I told you guys, how many years have I been telling you that we're going to win on gay rights? You know why? Because that's the one issue where we have more donors than they do. So we even got Orrin Hatch and Richard Shelby from Alabama to turn and say, oh, I can't believe they're doing this to the trans community. Well, Richard Shelby?
Okay, so I like that you brought Richard Shelby up because he did go on a cable news network to talk about this, and it perfectly illustrates how half-hearted he is in his support for the transgender community. Take a look at this video, video 1.
Is this a move that you support from a president who vowed to support the LGBT community more than Hillary Clinton during the campaign?
Well, that would be a reversal of the current policy. The current policy is a big tent for people who want to serve. You got to remember, our military forces is a volunteer force. So I'll have to see what he's actually said, read his tweet, and go from there.
Are you concerned about the 4,000 transgender people currently serving, or up to 6,000 based on what Rand says serving in the military right now? What happens to them?
Well, I think you ought to treat everybody fairly, and you ought to give everybody a chance to serve.
How did you not read the tweets before going on CNN to talk about the topic?
No, he doesn't want to piss off his base. He also doesn't want to piss off his donors. That's why you get that answer. But that is a way better answer than what Richard Shelby would have given in the past, saying everybody ought to be allowed to serve from a deeply conservative senator from Alabama. Look, we won on the issue, so this is a temporary blip. So, look, don't get disheartened today. It is distracting us as it was intended to do. It is hateful, which is Trump and Steve Bannon 101. And I don't want to just put it on Bannon, take away responsibility from Trump. Trump's the one who made the decision, okay? But at the same time, they're swimming against the tide of history. And they're going to get washed out by history. There's no way they're going to win on this issue. If we got Richard Shelby going, I think everybody should serve. We already won, man. So, okay. So it's terrible that for another couple of years this discriminatory policy will be in place. But I guarantee you that this is going to get overturned certainly by the next Democratic president. The next president will be a Democrat. Okay, this kind of hateful policies. Yeah, I know, your super base, your base of bases loves hatred and fear and discrimination. They are not the majority of this country. So people voted for Trump out of incredible frustration directed towards the establishment. It doesn't mean that they're in the core base who hates all people and don't want them to have equal rights. If you've lost Shelby, you're never going to win. And they lost the House too. The House just a couple of days ago voted on this. They're deeply, insanely right-wing, conservative Republican House that just voted to take away 23 million people's health insurance. Was like, man, going against the trans community in the military, that's a bridge too far.
Yeah, well, you know what else? Right now, the military is having a very difficult time recruiting people. Their numbers are starting to go down. People are very, very, skeptical about joining. Let me read you a quick quote from Philip Carter. He's from the Center for a New American Security. He says, "Our all-volunteer force is facing a long-term decline both in the number of young Americans qualified to serve and the propensity of those qualified Americans to serve." So, all right, cool. You want to ban, entire groups of people from joining the military and serving the country? Have at it. Do you, boo. We'll see how that plays out for you.
Yeah, and finally, don't get me wrong, the majority of Republicans in the House are still hateful. They only got 24 Republican members of Congress to flip on that vote and vote with the Democrats to allow trans folks to serve in the military, and they lost 214 to 209 in the House vote a couple of days ago. All the rest of the Republicans were like, no, we don't believe in equal rights. We don't believe in the Constitution. We believe instead in interpretation of Yahweh that gay people are not equal to straight people, so we're going to discriminate against them. So that was still the overwhelming majority of the Republican Party in the House, but luckily enough people switched over to the other side for them to lose that vote. So even his own party is not on Donald Trump's side completely, at least. So good luck to you guys. Run on this hateful strategy. You're going to get slaughtered in 2020.
All right, we got to take a break. When we come back, an update on what the GOP is doing with your health care, and then later on, even though Trump doesn't want us to talk about it, his issue with Sessions continues.
All right, post game here in Studio B. It's a green screen magic of internet television.
A lot of condom breaking stories.
Any conversation that starts with marriage is an interesting thing deserves a little bit of.
When the kid cries, perhaps that's that is an opportunity to do so. It's an opportunity to do some parenting.
Yeah, parenting is you cry, you're gone.
Oh my God.
I love that video.
Yeah, Ben, I got a great achoo. You're like, my mouth was open, she sneezed in my eye.
I used to have Donut Tower next to my desk. Yeah, I'll dress up like a girl.
I sound confident now, Anna.
Yeah.
When we're off the air, I'm going to be like, how is this going to work?
When you get literally asked why 21 straight times.
Yeah.
And like at some point, you're fucking with me now, right?
So I dumped the kids off at her mom's, and I drove down to La Jolla for a day.
Get out, kids.
They're like, but Daddy, no.
Why? What do you mean why? You asked me to look at you. You did it. You brought it up. You know you're doing it. What do you mean why? I don't know why. I was reading. She's lovely. And here's what's different. Like, it is a different feeling. Everybody says this, but it's 5:11 when we're shooting this. I can't wait to go home. Like that. I can't wait to see it.
What you guys do is allow us to be open and honest, and we don't have to worry about censorship, and we don't have to worry about sponsors telling us what we can and can't say. We're accountable by our audience and our audience only, and I absolutely love that. That's the best part about being a member. We love you guys.
Complex subject. Nobody knew that healthcare could be so complicated.
You said I had small hands. They're not smaller. I never heard that one before.
We talk about TYT Army being so strong. Usually they help us run our show. Now they're going to help us run the country.
Like this.
It's time that we reclaim democracy for the people.
We had a huge victory for Wolfpack.
When Lincoln said this is a country by, of, and for, he said of the people, not of corporations.
Our representatives don't represent us. Whoa! Democracy! United! We are! We are! Too strong! Stop! There's thousands of volunteers, and you could be among them.
With Wolfpack, the mission is so clear.
Money is killing our democracy. 96% of Americans want it. When you get the power back, oh, that feels good. This is just the beginning. Go get them, man. Up and at 'em. Knock, knock. We're coming for them! Wolf-pack.com. Turks. First of all, let me give you a more specific URL for if you're in the DC area and you want to go to that press conference standing up for Medicare. It's justdemocrats.com/stand up. So you can get that logic. So, and we're asking, by the way, part of that point of that press conference, we're asking everybody to stand up. I'll tell you guys more about it later. For Medicare for All, I want everybody to take a pledge. So, so mainly to get the politicians on board. So, justdemocrats.com/stand up. Julia Mahoney writes in, "Are you serious with us, Cenk? Al Gore, Al fucking Gore, forget awesome. That is epic." Yes. So in the studio. So in case you missed the beginning of the show, he will be here around 2:40ish. And we're going to do an interview with him then, and then we'll go into the live show and do a segment with him in the live show as well. So Al Gore at Rebel headquarters tomorrow. And Anna and I last night saw an Inconvenient sequel,
right?
And it was powerful, man. I mean, there's some charts in there and some facts in there that are devastating. I mean, we keep telling you guys, but it's more jarring when you see it. That opens, by the way, we've got a partnership with Participant Media, who's part of that project. That opens on July 28th in New York and LA and August 4th nationwide. So check out the movie. I don't know if you noticed, there was a couple of times where I audibly gasped. I was like,
yes, I noticed that. And there were, I don't know if he's okay with me sharing this with you guys, there were a few moments where John got emotional. And so did I, by the way, but, you know.
Okay, so anyway, Norma GP also says, yes, Al Gore on TYT Live. This is super duper awesome, great, fantastic news. So, yeah, don't miss it, guys. Eric Johnson says, we want to talk about wasting money in the military. I have 1 letter and 2 numbers for you. F-35. So true. And Woke Poppy says, as a gay American, my heart breaks that the government of the country that I love turns their back on us. The thing about trans and gay veterans and ones that are still in the military, they say, I love this country so much, I'm willing to die over it. Yeah. And then they say, no, this country doesn't love you back. Get out of the army or the military. It's so frustrating. Anyway, all right, by the way, if you guys have missed any portion of this show or tomorrow's show, remember, this is the last couple of days now for free trial membership. You get a whole month's membership free, tytnetwork.com/join. And then put in that promo code FREETYT, okay? You guys know it, tytnetwork.com/join, and then promo code FREETYT. All right, what's next, Anna?
Okay. After Senate Republicans voted on a procedural vote regarding the replacement for the Affordable Care Act, and that procedural vote passed, with Mike Pence breaking the tie, they actually decided to share their first plan for Affordable Care Act replacement. And it failed spectacularly. So it failed because so many Republicans, members of the GOP, actually voted against it. Now, Republicans brought their first plan up for a vote late Tuesday night, and they watched it fail 43-57 in a procedural vote. 9 Republicans joined Democrats to kill the Better Care Reconciliation Act. So I want to quickly list the Republican members that decided to vote against it. Lisa Murkowski, who also voted against the procedural vote that allowed for more debate. Susan Collins, Lindsey Graham, Rand Paul, Bob Corker, Tom Cotton, Jerry Moran, Mike Lee, Dean Heller. All of those individuals voted against it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and guess for different reasons. I'm guessing that some think that the healthcare replacement idea wasn't draconian enough. But whatever.
By the way, it's not a guess. They're on the record.
Yeah.
So Murkowski, Collins, and Heller are generally more moderate on this issue.
Right.
Some are not on the record, but guys like Jerry Moran and Mike Lee are saying, no, it was not conservative enough. We wanted bigger tax cuts for the rich and less money for Medicaid. So,
yes.
And by the way, Mike Lee and those conservatives, Ted Cruz gave them a vicious amendment in order to try to win their vote, which would allow you would create a death spiral for health insurance so that the young and the healthy would pay lower prices. That's definitely true. I've said that from day one, right? And anyone who gets sick would pay astronomical prices for health insurance, therefore defeating the whole purpose of health insurance.
That's right.
And even that wasn't enough for some of the conservatives in the Senate, going, nope, still not enough, not mean enough for us, and they voted no. So it lost. I mean, that 57-43 is not close.
It's not close.
And especially because, can I say one more thing? In this one, since Ted Cruz's amendment was so wrong on 18 different fronts, not just ideologically, but it does not allow them to do a reconciliation bill, even though reconciliation is in the title of the bill. Mm-hmm. So that's a complicated issue, but what boils down to then you need 60 votes to pass to get past the filibuster for this to pass, and they only got 43 out of the 60 that they needed. They got killed here. Better that this legislation gets killed than we get killed if they pass it.
So this hit me just right now, and I wish it would have hit me a little earlier so I could have looked into it. But this was a vote that was taken last night. How did McCain vote on this?
Good question. He's not on the list of 9.
He's not on the list. So, and who knows? Maybe he left. Maybe he didn't stay for this vote, which would be very strange since we all know that he was, in D.C. To vote on the first portion of this legislation that would allow for more debate. But for those of you who want a little more detail into what this first proposal was from the GOP, it would have gutted more than $700 billion from Medicaid and cut tax credits available for low-income people to buy health insurance. So, for the more moderate members of the GOP, it's completely understandable why they wouldn't want to sign on to this legislation.
Yeah, and by the way, Rand Paul was in the group saying not enough. He wanted more cuts. So, great. Libertarian Rand Paul. Yay, rich people.
Yeah. All right. Senator Murkowski was one of the GOP senators who voted against allowing for more debate for a replacement plan for the Affordable Care Act. And she got a little bit of criticism from those on the right, but the commander-in-chief decided to also criticize her by basically targeting her in a tweet. So he tweeted, Senator Lisa Murkowski of the great state of Alaska really let Republicans in our country down yesterday. Too bad. So I was curious to see what kind of responses he got to that tweet. And actually a lot of people stood by Murkowski and thanked her for not dismantling the Affordable Care Act. But Murkowski caught wind of this tweet and responded to it. I want to play the response and then we'll discuss. Take a look.
I am in a position where I'm not looking to a re-election until 2022. It's a long time away. And quite honestly, I don't think it's wise to be operating on a daily basis thinking about what a statement or a response that causes you to be fearful of your electoral prospects. We're here to govern. We're here to legislate. We're here to represent the people that sent us here. And so every day shouldn't be about campaigning. Every day shouldn't be about winning elections. It's about just doing a little bit of governing around here. That's what I'm here for.
Okay, so his attack on a particular senator that voted the wrong way, this might be surprising to you, is actually not that bad an idea. But you have to do it in moderation, and you have to do it very carefully and strategically. Because if you're going to go after someone in your own party, you better not miss. Now, is Donald Trump going to do anything in moderation or strategically? Of course not. So first of all, he threatens to go after everybody, and then it loses all effectiveness. He's like, I'm going to get Sessions, and I'm going to get Murkowski, and I'm going to get, he had gone after Heller, and then McConnell yelled at him, like, are you stupid? That's the one seat we could actually lose in the next election, and we need every seat to win these things. What are you doing going after Heller? He's like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, yeah, that's because you're a moron, and you don't check into anything. I mean, you're going to go after your own Republican senators, and you didn't look at their electoral situation. And so when he goes after Murkowski, she basically, I'll summarize that whole statement for you guys. Kiss my ass. She's like, look, I'm not up for election until 2020. Basically, she's saying Trump isn't going to be anywhere near here in 2020. What the hell is he doing? If she was up for election in the next cycle, then let's keep it real. She pretty much confessed there. Then I would have some electoral pressure, right? But as it is now, I don't have any pressure. You don't know what the hell you're doing.
I just got goosebumps at the thought of Trump not being around in 2020. It felt real nice. It's been a while since I felt that excited.
He might not even be a free man at that point. He might be at Rikers.
Well, don't stop it, Cenk. You're exciting me too much. Okay.
No, but so anyway, look, the reason why I say it's not that bad an idea if you do it strategically is Obama never did it. He almost never went after anyone in his own party to put pressure on them to actually do something progressive. Partly because he didn't want to do anything that progressive, right? But if he had wanted to, then you could actually put, if Obama went and did a rally in a blue state to put pressure on a Democratic senator, that could have worked, would have worked, and would have been a smart idea if you did it in moderation and very carefully. Trump comes in, of course, bull meet China shop.
Right.
And with no planning at all. So now he's just attacking senators wildly. And finally, why is that a terrible idea? Now you flip it around. Hey, knucklehead, you're in a situation where impeachment is not out of consideration. I mean, you are in a panic. Not me, you. You're in a panic over like, oh my God, stop the Russian investigation, stop the Russian investigation, I'm going to fire everybody, right? So you're obviously worried that there's something that's going to be a significant problem for you. You need every Republican to hold the line when it actually goes and becomes a real issue. Because one day the Murkowskis and the McCains, etc., are going to turn around and come to the White House like they did with Nixon and go, son, you got to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's definitely possible, especially when you consider the fact that, you know, Collins was caught with that hot mic talking about, you know, how crazy Trump is. So it kind of gives you a sense that, you know, even members of the GOP are either beginning to turn on him or didn't like him from the beginning and are probably waiting for the right strategic moment to act. I wish they would act right now and do so aggressively, but who knows? But the other thing I wanted to add is, you know, Trump's threatening her in a way. It's a veiled threat, and it's a political threat. But what he fails to realize is that the proposals that are being put out by the GOP in regard to healthcare are not popular. Okay, they have about 20% support among the electorate. And so if you're calling around, you're like, oh man, you're letting people down by voting against this. You're actually helping her. So please continue. Because in this case, as a moderate member of the GOP, she's actually looking out for her constituents, right? It's really hard to find a principled politician. And at least with this specific issue, she seems to be principled. She seems to be looking out for the best interests of her constituents. So good for her.
So, one poll has this proposal down at 17% approval. So if you think you're putting electoral pressure on senators by trying to get them to back a proposal that has 17% approval, you don't know a thing. And that's, of course, normal for Trump. But I'm telling you right now, if he alienates enough Republican senators, and he will, and he's in the middle of doing it now, one day Lisa Murkowski is going to walk into his office and tell him that the North remembers. And she's going to tell him winter has come for the Trumps.
Yeah. All right, we got to take one more break in this hour. When we come back, Trump's latest attacks on Sessions and Scaramucci's attacks on members of the White House.
They're crazy, man. All right, we'll tell you all about the Trumps.
Hey, Cenk, what's up?
And my VCR keeps flashing 12, but it's not even midnight. Go.
I want to do a quick announcement before we get on to the stories because I think it's important and I want to encourage you guys to go. All right, so TYT will be at Politicon this year. The dates are July 29th and the 30th, and I'm actually extremely excited. In the past, when I've done Politicon events, it's always been panels. Last year I did that panel with a number of anti-Bernie Sanders people, and of course it was a lot of fun because I was the only one on there that supported Bernie. But this year we're going to be debating people. Debates are going to happen.
Can I just say, if you missed Politicon last year, that was a mistake, because Anna's panel alone was worth the price of admission, because they love balance. They love talking to the press about balance, right?
Right.
But all of a sudden, there was only one Bernie Sanders supporter and wall-to-wall Hillary Clinton supporters.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Including a lot of the people you see on TV. And she mauled. The entire crowd was on your side. But look, it's not just that you kicked ass. It's not that just the crowd was on your side. It's that if the crowd, even if it's unfair because the crowd is all Bernie Sanders, then maybe you should have a couple of Bernie Sanders panelists.
Right.
But they didn't need it because they had Anna.
Well, it was a fun discussion, and I really enjoyed it. But this year is also going to be a lot of fun. We're going to get involved in a number of debates. Cenk, who are you debating?
Oh boy, here we go. Buckle up, everybody. You asked for it, you're going to get it. Ben Shapiro. Okay.
Bloop, 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 bloop. All right.
Right-wingers have been asking for quite some time. Come and see.
All right. And I will be debating Ann Coulter.
Damn.
Ann versus Anna. Anna versus Ann. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. And Hassan will also be there, and he is also debating someone who is a millennial who is very much against millennials. Like, that's his whole shtick. So that should be a lot of fun as well.
That ought to be great. Woke Bay versus Sleepy Bay.
Anyway, you guys can get your tickets by going to politicon.com/TYT. Politicon.com/TYT. It takes place in Pasadena, California. We really hope to see you guys there, so definitely check it out.
And if you're watching this as a video on YouTube or Facebook, we'll have the link down below for you guys.
Can we eat in here?
All right, back on the Young Turks. Julia Mahoney again writes in, we need more of the GOP to pull a Varys on Trump and tell them they will not be blindly loyal if it doesn't serve the people.
Yeah, it doesn't serve them either, but yeah.
But that makes Trump Daenerys, so that makes me uncomfortable. Raver Madness says Obama put pressure on members of his own party who thought that the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, was a GOP half measure threatening their seats directly. No, you're absolutely right. So he did know how to play hardball. He just played it against liberals. So, yeah.
Okay, so during the postgame today, I want to talk a little bit about that and also tie it into Al Gore's latest documentary.
Yeah.
Because I just want to juxtapose what we see with Trump and what we had with someone like Al Gore. There was a scene in that movie that was incredibly impressive to me. So I want to talk about it.
All right, that's great.
Yeah.
And guys, you can get it for free. There's just a couple of days left, but you get a whole month once you sign up for free. So tytnetwork.com/join and promo code's free TYT to check out that post game. All right, last one is Rory Dennis says, hopefully Trump can take down some Republicans. The current Dems sure as hell can't do it. Rory, I think you're onto it. I think Trump is going to do more damage to the Republican Party than the Democrats ever could. I mean, if he goes under, his base will be super mad at the Republicans for not backing him, and then they're in a civil war at that point that actually does matter. It doesn't make the way that would go down would not make their party party stronger and make it weaker. All right, let's go forward.
All right. Donald Trump has not stopped his attacks on his own Attorney General, Jeff Sessions. In fact, recently he decided to continue tweeting about how upset he is that Jeff Sessions didn't take action against a specific member of the FBI. So he said, why didn't Attorney General Jeff Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of Clinton investigation, but got big dollars, $700,000 for his wife's political run for Hillary Clinton and her representatives, drain the swamp, which is the most ironic way to end that tweet, by the way. Okay, you have a financier as your communications person. Like, you have Rex Tillerson as your secretary of... You want to talk about draining the swamp? You are the swamp. But anyway, let's focus on McCabe for a second. So he's referring to Jill McCabe, okay? I didn't know the deets on this story, but let me play it out for you. So Jill McCabe was recruited to run for a Virginia State Senate seat as a Democrat by Governor Terry McAuliffe, a longtime Clinton confidant and fundraiser. So McAuliffe's PAC gave McCabe's campaign $450,000, and the Virginia Democratic Party kicked in another $200,000. That doesn't equal $700,000, but it's okay. I'll let Trump's bad math pass for the sake of this conversation. Andrew McCabe was the assistant director of the FBI field office in Washington, but he was mostly focused on terrorism-related cases, okay? Also, just keep in mind that it's not Jeff Sessions' decision to deal with McCabe. It's Trump's decision.
Well, let's not underplay this. So small thing and then two big things. Small thing is Hillary Clinton didn't give her any money. Right? And now it's a small thing because McAuliffe's a huge Clinton ally. So it's splitting hairs a little bit. But he just keeps saying Hillary Clinton gave the money when she didn't.
Right.
Okay? So now the bigger issues. I mean, before you tweet out, why didn't the Attorney General nominate an FBI director or fire an FBI director? Just can't you ask, you're the president, can't you just ask somebody, and by the way, who does that type of thing? And then they could have told you, hey, knucklehead, he's not in charge of that, you're in charge of that, that's your decision.
I know, Cenk, but it's like 6 a.m, he hasn't gotten any sleep, he just finished tweeting about, banning trans people from the military, like, he's busy, Like, what do you mean he's gonna go ask people?
Come on, man, and if Obama had made that kind of mistake, Fox would be running it 24 hours a day. The president doesn't even know his responsibilities. Can we trust him to be commander-in-chief if he doesn't even know who's appointing who? Can you believe he's in office? And but this is one of 1,000 things this moron has done wrong. So people are going to just gloss over it. Like, oh, he's trying to fire his own or get his own attorney general to quit in the most bizarre thing we've ever seen in our lives. He's against almost everyone in law enforcement. Gee, I wonder why. Okay, you know who doesn't like the cops? Among others, robbers. They don't like cops.
I don't know. I'm just really tired of this, environment of lawlessness.
That's right. Hey, Blue Lives Matter, okay?
Yeah.
And so if you go after your attorney general who's in charge of the entire Justice Department, and you go after everybody in the FBI, I'm beginning to think, you're in charge of the government, right?
Does Trump even understand how difficult Jeff Sessions' job is? He puts his life on the line day in and day out to do what he does. And Trump has the audacity to criticize him like this?
Yeah, so...
What a thug.
Anyway, now the second big part of this is... just to explain to you guys what he's doing here. First of all, if you didn't do anything wrong, why are you panicked about the acting director of the FBI and the attorney general and the deputy attorney general and the special prosecutor or special counsel? Why are you panicked about everyone in positions of authority that might actually figure out what you did? Like, that's a weird reaction to have. And you knew that from all the things that have been going over the last couple of days. But in this particular case, what he's trying to do is trying to get Sessions to resign because he doesn't want to fire Sessions, because then he will have fired Comey and Sessions, and then he'll want the new guy to fire Mueller because that's his real beef, because the special counsel investigating him. Well, that looks like what was called the Saturday Night Massacre that Nixon did to try to stop Watergate.
Right.
And so he figures if Sessions resigns, he could turn around, because he's known as an inveterate liar, and go, oh, I didn't want Sessions to resign. I didn't do Sessions. I didn't do that. Sessions resigned.
No.
What can I do about it?
Okay, so
Right?
so first, let me just preface my point by saying that I can't stand either one of them. Okay, Sessions is a bad guy, Trump is a bad guy, so please don't think for a second that I'm trying to defend Sessions. But the one right thing that Sessions did do was recuse himself. Okay, he was supposed to do that, and I'm glad he did that. Now, with that said, I find it hilarious because an official from the White House spoke to the press anonymously and said that Sessions has no intention of quitting. No intention.
No.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Well, so I love that because it's exactly what I would do. I'd be like, listen, you want to fire me? Fire me.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do your work for you. Yeah, go ahead. Tweet all day, idiot. You're just making yourself look dumber. And now conservative media has turned on Trump, and they're backing Sessions. Even Breitbart is. And now other Republicans are starting to tweet in and put out messages like Lindsey Graham, this long statement like, what are you doing? Like Lindsey, he's like Jeff Sessions is one of the most conservative guys in the country. We all really like him and think he's deeply principled. Richard Shelby again from Alabama. He's like, what? No, I'm on Sessions' side. How many Republican senators can you lose when you're facing an investigation that apparently is scaring the hell out of you in terms of what they're going to find? At some point, those Republican senators turn back around and go, hey, listen, man, you don't have the votes to survive an impeachment based on what they found. So, as usual, a pathetically dumb strategy by Donald Trump. But I told you, he's just not smart enough to cover up what he did effectively and to be able to survive this. Mike Pence.
I mean, I think he's sitting in the corner, like, salivating right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, my day's coming.
Oh, Mike Pence has a perpetual erection. He's like...
Gross.
But his wife must be in the room. Okay.
Okay.
But he's like, oh my God, he's like, every time he goes in the Oval Office, he's like looking at the drapes, like, what color do I want these drapes to be? Okay.
Which, by the way, is also terrifying, but anyway.
Yes.
Okay, final story. In the first hour, Anthony Scaramucci, Trump's new head of the communications department in the White House, is now threatening to fire everyone because of the fact that so many leaks have been put out there in the press. In fact, speaking to Politico, Scaramucci said, I'm going to fire everybody. That's how I'm going to do it. You're either going to stop leaking or you're going to be fired. Okay. Now, what's interesting about this is Michael Short, who was working on Trump's campaign and then left Trump's campaign and started working, in his normal job in the
RNC.
At the RNC, was heavily criticized because he stopped working at the Trump campaign. And so Scaramucci and others who are supportive of Trump are assuming or speculating that maybe Short is one of these people who's leaking all this stuff to the press. And so he was about to get fired, right? Except Scaramucci didn't get to fire him before Short found out about this through the press. And so in regard to that, Scaramucci says the following: this is the problem with the leaking. This is actually a terrible thing. Let's say I'm firing Michael Short today. The fact that you guys know about it before he does really upsets me as a human being and as a Roman Catholic.
Oh, wow. Why did you bring the Roman Catholic thing into it for?
Don't know.
Okay, and by the way, of course it's his fault. Scaramucci, in a morning meeting, talked about how he was probably going to fire Michael Short. Well, if you say that, dude, people are going to find out. It's like when Trump goes around threatening Sessions and threatening Comey and then finally firing Comey. Well, you kind of telegraphed that one, and then he turns around and goes, the way that Michael Short found out, it upsets me as a Roman Catholic. Of course that's your fault. So, but, again, I don't know if this will surprise you, but I'm a little conflicted on this one. Okay, I'm a little split on it. Because if you do want to enforce discipline...
I know. Okay, but here's the thing. Everyone hates you guys, right? And so go ahead, fire everyone. And he says that he's fine with that he'll fire everyone and it'll go down to just, him and Sanders and that's it, right? Okay, yeah, good luck with that. But no matter what, there are going to be people that are turned off by what your administration are doing, especially when you consider the fact that there are now hardcore Trump supporters, people who supported Trump through his entire campaign, and now they're starting to turn on him. People like Ann Coulter, writers at Breitbart, right? Now, these are members of the media, but you also have, members of the GOP that are turning their backs on him. And so if you think that you're going to do away with the issue with leakers just by firing everyone, again, good luck. I don't think it's going to work out that way. But apparently a source close to Scaramucci said he's planning to bring in people from the corporate communications world in addition to conservative broadcast stars.
Oh, so he's going to go to... So look, here's what happened. When Trump first came in, he basically made a deal with the establishment Republicans. He brought in Reince Priebus, who was not a huge Trump fan in the beginning, who used to run the RNC, to be his chief of staff. Reince Priebus brings in Sean Spicer and a lot of the guys in the communications department. It is true that they are leaking like a sieve. Mm-hmm. So then Trump goes, okay, I'm going to get my buddy from New York who talks like me and has the same hand motions. Okay, I don't know if you guys have ever seen that video, but it's hilarious. Anyway, hey, Mooch, come in here, Mooch. And Mooch goes, hey, I'm going to fire all of yous. Okay, that's how we do it in New York. So now... Michael Short says it's absurd that I was leaking. It's not true. He probably was.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, obviously we're speculating, but I would probably think that was happening.
Yeah. And a lot of Reince guys are not loyal to Trump.
Right.
So that's why I got mixed feelings. If I was in Trump's situation, I'd probably, if he did it, and probably, anyway, I would probably, whoever did it, I would fire them, right, if I had some evidence. But Anna is so right on the core argument. And maybe we shouldn't tell them. If we're on Fox and Friends, I definitely wouldn't say because they'd be watching. Anyway, is that, look, if you knock off enough lieutenants, one day you're going to look around and go, oh, there's nobody behind me. So when your opponents come for you, you got no backup. So you could bring in all the Eric Bowlings and I hope he brings in Ducey and Kilmeade. How great would that be? Like, can you imagine Kilmeade in a press conference like, I don't know what's happening. Anyway, so you can bring in all those guys, and you can bring up a bunch of guys from New York who understands how the mooch works. But it's if you don't have enough institutional support within the Republican Party, that is a decision you're going to greatly regret.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. Second hour coming up. Grace coming in, right?
Grace is coming in. She's gonna lead. Okay, she's gonna take charge, present the stories, and then we're gonna sit back and have some fun.
Oh wow! Okay, that sounds great. All right, we're also gonna tell you that the poll yesterday.
Yes.
Are you gonna still watch football, knowing that 99% of them have traumatic brain injuries? Really interesting results.
Oh, you're not gonna tell us now?
No, I'm gonna tell you after the break.
Okay.
All right, come right back. TYT is partnering with Participant Media to help solve the climate crisis. Wouldn't that be great? Now look down our series, 10 Days of Action, to learn more about what you can do to make a difference, and go see an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power, in theaters in New York and LA on July 28th and nationwide August 4th. If President Trump won't lead, we should. The American people have to do it. The majority of Americans, civic leaders, mayors, governors, businesses, they're already moving forward to stop climate change. So no single person can stop us. I pledge to join the movement and hashtag #BeInconvenient. Go to inconveniencesequel.com/action to be part of the solution.
You have in common with your daughter?
I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. You said I had small hands. They're not small. I never heard that one before.
Robbie Canal, he calls his work urban beautification. I didn't go out to be a street artist or to make posters. I was just compelled. I was mad enough. It didn't matter. It was like a form of minor civil disobedience even. Like, fuck. How about your higher ground? Power, operation. operates to self-replicate itself to maintain the status quo so it stays in power. When you go to do something like this to express yourself in public about an issue you care about, make sure you pick the bigger weapon, and the weapon is knowledge. The one thing about street art, it's not like I put up my posters to change anybody's mind about anything. The difference between propaganda and the kind of art I do is propaganda is telling people what to think. The way the art works, where the art works, is between the time you see it and the time you figure it out for yourself. I'm an optimist. I might have made a lot of ugly things about a lot of ugly people. It's out of love. Not for them.
What's up, folks? The Great Ballroom!
Hey!
Okay.
I love Grace. I'm happy to be here too. I haven't actually
Wow.
I haven't caught up with you guys in a while because I've been traveling, so I'm really excited. I'm very excited for the show, but also for the post game, just to like talk with you guys. Like, what's on your mind? Like, what's up? Let's catch up.
Okay. So now, speaking of the post game, look, this is an excellent time to become a member. I'm telling you because I'm trying to look out for you. We're going back to paid in a couple of days. So you can get free membership right now at tytnetwork.com/join. You get free for a month and use promo code FREETYT because then you'll get to catch the post games. Grace, aren't the post games fun?
They're fun. I'm looking forward to them. I always have a blast.
And you get a whole month to go back in the archives, check out old post games.
Yeah, you can see how my hair has gotten shorter since I started working here. Yeah, that had nothing to do with me starting working here. It's just if you go back, I'll see old videos, and I had long hair. You did. I don't know. I thought I was like Alanis Morissette when I started, and now I'm getting very Kurt Cobain-y, which is my goal. So it's working out for me.
Right. And if you miss any part of the show, you can get it. You can download it, stream it. And tonight we got old school. You can get that and all the old school episodes. Ben and I are going to do it tonight. Aggressive Progressives tomorrow. So there's just a ton of stuff that at least tool around, look around, and see what you get. And then tomorrow, around 2:40, we're going live for everybody with Vice President Al Gore. He's going to be right here in the studio. It's going to be excellent. Also, he's going to stay and do a segment with us at the top of the show. But again, if you miss it, that's part of the reason why you become a member. tytnetwork.com/join. And again, last couple of days for promo code FREETYT. All right, I'm going to give you just one other thing before we get going, and Grace got the stories for us, which is the poll results from yesterday. So given that NFL players, 99% of them, according to a recent study, have traumatic brain injuries, are you still going to continue watching football? Okay? And 56% said yes.
I knew it.
44% said no. That's still open, tytnetwork.com/football. I forgot to vote. I'm going to go vote on it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, but you already told everyone what you would.
Yeah, but I want to have my say. I want to have my vote. I want it to count.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm a big believer in voting. Anyways, all right, Grace, what do you got for us?
All right, so let's start off with what's been hitting the news a lot is Trump's announcement that transgender people will not be allowed in the U.S. military. Here's what we're talking about. Following Donald Trump's announcement that the U.S. military would no longer accept trans people to serve in the armed forces, a lot of service members have been clapping back. One such individual is Kristen Beck. Kristen Beck is not just your average service member. Born Christopher Beck, she served for 20 years in the Navy with SEAL Teams 1, 5, and eventually the Elite 6. She deployed 13 times over 2 decades, including stints in Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. She received the Bronze Star Award for Valor and the Purple Heart for wounds suffered in combat. If you don't believe me that she's this much of a badass, there is actually a really excellent documentary by CNN Films called Lady Valor. Let's take a look at Kristen Beck.
I'm Senior Chief Chris Beck, currently in Afghanistan.
Christopher Beck served this country with great strength and great honor for 20 years.
He was a member of a special counterterrorism unit called SEAL Team 6.
He became an elite Navy SEAL, and all the time carrying a burden that finally led him to make a drastic decision.
No one ever met the real me. No one knew anything.
Chris Beck details his transformation to become Kristen Beck.
In some ways, this is way more mentally and physically rigorous than many things I've done in my past. We're Americans, and we are part of our country. It's another mission, and now I'm starting over.
It was a shock. I had no clue. We were brothers, but I never saw a girly in them.
I like your outfit.
I think I got this out from you. This is like my new armor.
I'm here for any teen guy or teen girl.
Someone who wants to change their gender, it just doesn't seem to fit in with that lifestyle.
This is how you fight. This is how you shoot your weapons.
The real Kristen Beck.
I was beyond proud.
I fought for 20 years for life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. And I want some happiness. This is my life.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So Kristen Beck has a message for Donald Trump, which is basically, let's meet face to face. Kristen spoke out saying, let's meet face to face and you tell me I'm not worthy. Transgender doesn't matter. Do your service. Going on to say, being transgender doesn't affect anyone else. We are liberty's light. If you can't defend that for everyone, that's an American citizen. That's not right. And then going on to address Donald Trump's point about the money issue, that this is part of the budget. This isn't him being discriminatory. This is about, making cuts for the military to serve its best. She says the money is negligible. You're talking about 0.0001% of the military budget. So she's not mincing her words. I want to get a reaction from you guys, and there are other trans service members that are speaking up, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. But first, after having watched that, just such a badass story, you can find, I believe, the full documentary on Netflix. I would recommend checking it out. What is your response? Do you think that this is okay that she's speaking out?
Oh, do I think it's okay? I love it. And honestly, I didn't know anything about her until this terrible story broke today with what Trump is trying to do. And, I read what she had to say, and I hadn't seen that video. And watching that video gave me goosebumps. And, just seeing how heroic she is, and the fact that she served in the military for such a long time, 2 decades. And then, her statement about fighting for, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and how she wants happiness. She is beyond entitled to that happiness. I'm just proud that she's an American, and she shouldn't face any type of persecution or discrimination. And it's sick that our commander-in-chief, doesn't respect her.
So you can check out the trailer again in the link below that we'll have. CNN Films does a great job there on that one. So she said, "We are liberty's light," and she put her life on the line how many times to prove that out. And if she hasn't earned her freedom, who has?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you say to her, "Fight for our freedoms, but not your own,"
right?
That is a preposterous statement. And of all people, for Donald Trump to say this, he ran from service. He did 5 deferments in Vietnam. Now, some of it was because of school. Some people were legitimately in school, and he was of the age where he could be in school, and his daddy got him into Penn, which he now brags about. I'd love to see your transcript, by the way. Anyway, but then he was out of school, and his dad got a doctor to write a letter about how he had bone spur in one of his feet. And then the campaign trail, they asked him about it. He's like, "I don't remember which foot." Yeah. Oh, it was so devastating that you had other people go die for you in Vietnam, but apparently it was so unimportant you don't even remember which foot it was. You know why? Because you made it up. Because you're a rich jackass who inherited $200 million from your dad and then bragged about it for the rest of your life. You didn't go serve. Now these people want to serve. They want to be liberty's light, and you won't let them. So, just a quick suggestion for them. Stand opposed.
Yeah. Well, what we're hearing from a lot of these transgender service members that are speaking up, that are so appalled by this from our commander-in-chief, is that they fight for individual liberty. It's what this country is founded on. Mm-hmm. It's a bipartisan liberty that we all have a right to. And another retired Sergeant Shane Ortega, a transgender man who served as helicopter crew chief in the Army's 25th Infantry Division, has been through 3 combat tours, also spoke out, speaking with Raw Story. This is a completely egotistical move on behalf of Donald Trump. I think he's honestly trying to circle the American people to deflect and detract the principles and goodwill of what it is to be an American service member. And he's trying to use them as pawns right now in order to invoke some sort of emotional reaction from the public to circumvent his own investigations that are going right now towards his impeachment. So what is your response to that?
Yeah, nailed it.
You think this is just a distraction?
I think it's it's a distraction, especially when you consider that this wasn't something that was in the works. He didn't have any communication with the Pentagon about this. The Pentagon was completely surprised by it.
So out of the blue. I couldn't believe, when I saw this rolling in on my Twitter feed, I wasn't sure of what I was seeing, because you kind of see it trending before you go to the source a little bit. You see people tweeting about it, then you go back to the source material. It really did feel out of the blue, Anna. It was sort of, where is this coming from? It's in that sense, I do sort of wonder, is this a distraction? What am I now? All my attention is on this, where it was before. We were talking about the investigation. We're talking about collusion.
Right. Well, we should focus on all of it. And I think most Americans are smart enough to know what's going on, and they're aware of what he's trying to do. And I always like to look at the time that he tweets, and they're always super early in the morning, or in the 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. In this case, they were 5 in the morning tweets. And when I woke up in the morning, I get Apple News alerts, pick up my phone, and I read what Trump is doing. And I'm like, well, another day in America.
Yeah, you're always braced for impact, damage report.
Yeah.
What did he do today?
Yeah.
But in this case, it's I like how you're really considering the other side, Grace. You're giving the benefit of that. No, the Pentagon was caught off guard. They're like, we have no policy on that. We have to change our policy. I don't know what he just did. Mm-hmm. So of course it's a political distraction. But anyway, he can live up to it. Now he's too late for Vietnam. Other people died, and he bragged. By the way, you should know this is amazing. And for all you guys who think he's for veterans, first of all, he just now spoke out against all these brave veterans. Beck also has a Purple Heart for getting wounded in combat and Bronze Star Award for valor. So. I wonder who's more patriotic and more American and more for service. But now it's too late. The thing you should know, he said that, he didn't go to Vietnam, but avoiding STDs in the sex parties he was going to was his own personal Vietnam. That's who Donald Trump is.
Wow.
So listen, if you're ever going to try to kick someone out of the military, have your kids stand opposed. Have all your Republican politicians voting with you stand opposed. So Don Jr., Eric, you're sitting around doing nothing but getting yourself in trouble. Go and stand opposed. Fill in for those trans service members you're trying to kick out.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We got sort of a non-response from my girl Ivanka. Oh man. So Ivanka is reportedly opposed to Donald Trump, her father's trans ban in the military, but she's not going to speak out about it. God, this story is frustrating. Let's get into it, okay? So the Daily Beast reports that even though she is against it, she doesn't want to raise too much of a stink because she has other pressing issues that are on her mind.
Like what?
I know, and the more socially liberal factions of Trump's inner circle, including his family members and staffers Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, have been opposed to all the anti-LGBT initiatives of this administration. However, they quickly determined that their political capital be spent elsewhere, as one senior White House official characterized it, given that their advice on LGBT issues has been routinely overruled, if not overlooked, by this administration and President Trump. Something that I've been seeing going around on Twitter is during Pride Month, when Ivanka got a lot of flack for not speaking out, she had some sort of a weak-ass tweet of, I support my LGBT, blah, 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 I'm an ally, and now this happens, and silence. So I'm reminded of the Harvey Milk quote, hope will never be silent. And she is being silent, so I've got no hope for her. Ivanka's just, I don't know what to do with her at this point.
Well, she was super insulted when she was accused of being complicit in some of the terrible things that Trump is doing. And okay, so I guess now I understand why she was so insulted. It's because she has limited political capital, and she just can't spend it on things like protecting human rights and making sure that people aren't discriminated against in the military. So what are you good for? Like, what's the whole point of you being there? Because the argument from you over and over again is that you're going to pull him to the left on some of these social issues. Which, by the way, according to Trump himself when he was campaigning, you didn't even need to pull him to the left. He was to the left of Hillary when it came to the LGBT community, which is complete and utter bullshit, and you guys know that. Political capital, okay, where's your political capital going? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, so we have yet to see her win on her so-called moderate positions. So if she's like the Democrats, keeping their powder dry. Man, she got a lot of dry powder. I don't know when she's ever going to use it. So look, I'm super realistic about politics. So for example, if she said, look, I'll just use my own example. I think we got to get money out of politics before we do anything else, because that has a cascading effect on all the other issues. So if I said I'm prioritizing that so that we can win on the other issues, well, that would be a realistic and practical political calculation. If you say I'm saving my political capital to be spent elsewhere, well, you're not telling me you're going to get to it. You're not telling me that it's a strategy to eventually win on that issue. Mm-hmm. What you're saying is, I don't really care that much about you. So maybe I theoretically care about LGBT rights, but I'm not going to do anything about it. But you're in a position of power. Mm-hmm. You're not a random person in the middle of New York. So it's one thing if you're not going to vote or you're not going to do anything when you're a truck driver. When you're sitting right next to the President of the United States who just made this decision, and you decide you're not even going to say one word about it, then you don't get to say that you care about LGBT people or their rights.
And I know who Ivanka is, okay? I know so many straight people who are like, I'm an LGBT ally, but the T is silent, is what they mean by that is it's really fun to have a gay best friend. I won't do anything for their rights, but it's cute on television that I can have Carson Kressley on The Apprentice and like be buddies with him. That's who she is. She doesn't care about LGBT rights, because if she cared, this just wouldn't have happened. And it's so frustrating because she is just this beacon for other people who can say, I'm an LGBT ally, just like Ivanka, but she's not. You know, there's so many people who will say, no, Ivanka is an LGBT ally. No, she's absolutely not. She hasn't done anything to prove that. It's so much more than just tweeting out your support. You can't be an ally and not take action. Allyship should be a verb. You have to do stuff. You have to speak out. And she's given a golden opportunity to do that. And her silence is being complicit. Sorry, I know you hate that word, but it's your SNL perfume, and you're dripping in it right now. You are complicit.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And one last thing. She is not a normal political player like Reince Priebus, for example, who has to be careful about his political capital, and he doesn't want to burn bridges, and Trump is crazy. You never know when he's going to fire someone, right? She's his daughter. Yeah. She is the person that he trusts most, and you can't fire your daughter, and he has shown no inclination. She's the one pillar that he has always actually supported. So, I mean, I know my relationship with my dad. I can't imagine. I don't care who he was or what position he had, that I'd be like, well, I don't want to burn my political capital with my dad. to say that, hey, maybe we should, treat all Americans the same. What a weird thing to say. Like, yeah, hey, Dad, don't do that. LGBT people are Americans just like everybody else. And hey, look at the case of Beck and the other people who served in the military and have Purple Hearts and Bronze Stars and all that stuff. What, he's going to be like, oh, I disown you because you're for gay people? Is your dad that monstrous that he would cut you out? The one person he seems to trust because you dared to speak in favor of gay rights once? Apparently that's your impression of your dad. That's why you chose to stay silent, because you thought, well, that's how much he hates gay people, that if I just say something to him, I might get cut out of his political decisions.
Sad.
Baby.
Sad. All right. Should we go on to another story or take a quick break?
Let's do one more.
All right, let's do one more. So you may know Randall. Late to the Boy Scouts of America, it's because there's a little bit of a deal in play going on that Randall Stevenson needs the Trump administration's approval to go through. In his other role,
Carriage Doctor is now up to date.
When we come back.
I'm going to tell you a story, and then I want you to tell me what you think about the way I reacted to the situation and if you thought it was acceptable.
Guilty. Oh, wait, I gotta wait for the story.
I know Anna Kasparian has some stuff to say, and the world needs to hear it.
But then he became woke man. I hate it.
I love it. I love it.
Susan and I used to do this trick where we would elongate the videos so that we would look skinnier.
That is the most positive drug dealing story I've ever heard of.
Bears don't give a fuck. I trust you guys, audience. Don't let me down.
You don't believe in ghosts? Talking about pussy. Don't.
And we got Spotty TYT. What is this little stuff?
Oh, death. Did you want to poop outside? No, I poop here. It's fine because I bury it. And you know what happens in that water? Turns frogs gay.
And they can't stand the establishment. And then I slipped and fell on my ass.
Yes, I gotta get comfortable here.
That is tomorrow's joke, Cenk. When your time is up, what wouldn't you do for just one more day?
I'm gonna try to have sex with you. If you don't want it right now, just roll up a newspaper and hit.
Hottest club I've ever been to is my bedroom. People often say that you are the Jasmine of TYT.
Yep. Please, I am not with you, baby. You gotta let me go.
Oh God, this hurts so bad.
You're alive. You're alive. The last day is not any more valuable than today.
Alright, we got a graphic incoming. Putting up 3, 2, 1. Alright. Video next. And next video. And panel. And dropping it. One, 2, 3, 4. There's always these weird cream cheese options. I can never just find the plain. What about salmon? Do I look like a grizzly bear? Here, try this veggie. Where's the plain? Where is it? You're more of a grape drink kind of guy, right? Or try this mouthwash. Where's the plain? Do you like sexual healing? Where is the plane? Where's the plane? Where's the plane? Where is it? Where's the plane? Dude. Anna Kasparian. No, I want the plane. Supervisor! Aren't you the supervisor? Isn't the whole point of being supervisor? Why do you get to decide my cream cheese options? At what point did you decide there'd be no plain cream cheese? I don't understand. Take it easy, man. No, this is true just like with politics and anything else. If we don't stand up for ourselves, they're just gonna fuck us even harder. You're not gonna believe this. They kicked me out of the kitchen. I got my eyes on me.
Cenk, Grace, and Anna with you. I like this combo. I don't think we've ever done this combo.
I like it too.
No,
I don't think so. This is fun.
There's lots of combos. Mark Tosiello writes in, hey man, it's not Al Gore, it's Al Gore! Of course! That's funny, I kind of like that. Benjamin Buckland says, I stand with all trans people, military service or not, let alone people like Kristen Beck, hero. We fight for individual liberty. That's another great point.
Yeah.
And the members of the day are Stuart Grossman and Julie Sonnenberg. Thank you, guys. Stuart and Julie, we got a fun post game for you guys. We saw an Inconvenient sequel last night. Anna has a point that she wants to make about a compelling scene in that movie, which is going to lead to a larger discussion. And, of course, Al Gore coming into the studio tomorrow.
That's so cool.
Isn't it?
I didn't know about that until I was sitting down here and the words came out of your mouth. I had no idea. He's a good guy. I just read a magazine on my United Airlines flight about him. They did an article on him. I was reading. I was like, this guy's so cool. Now he's coming to the studio tomorrow. I have so much to say about it. Post game. Okay, post game.
All right. So if you want to watch that post game, if for whatever reason you miss it around, I keep saying 2:40 because that's Pacific. It's actually 5:40 Eastern, right? And then the show starts at 6. And he's going to be in the first segment too. But if you miss any part of the show, you download it, stream it ad-free, and get all the other shows, including Old School Tonight, if you end the post games. If you become a member, there's only a couple of days left where you can get a free trial membership of a month. So tytnetwork.com/join and use the promo code FREETYT. All right, what's next?
All right. Following protests for the 2016 presidential inauguration, officials seized phones of some of the protesters and are now trying to crack those phones in order to charge them with conspiracy to riot. Let's break down what's happening. Prosecutors have indicted over 200 people on felony riot charges for protests in Washington, D.C. on January 20th that broke windows and damaged vehicles. Some defendants face up to 75 years in prison despite little evidence against them, but a new court filing reveals that investigators have been able to crack into at least 8 defendants' locked cell phones. How did they get their cell phones? How were these people rounded up? This is what happened. D.C. police officers channeled hundreds of people into a narrow, blockaded corner where they carried out mass arrests of everyone in the area. Some of those people, including a journalist and 2 allegedly peaceful protesters, are now suing for wrongful arrest. Now, while they were doing that, they seized more than 100 cell phones from defendants and other unindicted arrestees. And as of now, for a while we didn't know what was going on with these cell phones, but we do have court documents that now show that investigators were successful in opening some of the